Sorry. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Airbrush Down Dirty Tricks. Now I got an echo. Maybe now I don't. No. Check, check. Alright, sorry about that. Let's double check sound in video if that's good. Welcome to Airbrush Down Dirty Tricks. It is Thursday night, January 16th, 8 p.m. Welcome. Let's see. We get good sound, good video. Let me get my Facebook screen up here so I can see if anyone's over there. Sound is good? Good. Yeah, I was getting a little double feedback because this is the first feed. Hopefully the echo should be gone now. Hopefully it's gone. Oh, the Facebook feed is not on. Give me one sec, guys. Sorry. All right. Yeah, I was getting a little echo that should be gone now. It did it first. Yeah, the headphones was feeding back because it was like coming through the sound. Good, good, good. So, reason for a little bit of discombobulation here was, yeah, last week my computer finally died. That's why I had to skip last week's feed. It didn't die. The battery couldn't keep up when I was doing any major work. Even under plug, the battery would go down and the system would shut down. So it had to go out and be replaced. That took 4 days. So because of that, I just had to buy another computer. Well, so what I decided to do is buy the new computer, and that'll be the studio computer that's not going to move. And then the laptop, I had it fixed, had the battery put in. That'll be my on the road. That'll be when I travel. Because it is about 5 years old. It was a 2019 model Mac, so it did its job. It didn't owe me much more, so I'll still be able to utilize it. But I did spend the week basically reconfiguring the whole computer for all of this stuff. And yeah, so hopefully we are good. My PSU blew up. Band supply. Wouldn't fix it. No, so the battery on the MacBook Pro, it's 5 years old. What's happened is I had a big power supply on it. It wouldn't matter. Basically, the computer's so older now that when all these cameras spool up and you start doing 2 feeds and all the data pushing and the soundboards and everything else, it basically spikes the CPUs and GPUs up to 100% plus for hours straight. And basically, it just starts clocking down. So that's why I've used. It just wasn't working anymore. Damn, so spikes. We don't like Macs in our computer shop. I have a PC too that I use, but the Macs are way more stable for what I do in the design work and all the editing work, and everything talks to each other between the iPads, the switchers. Everything just works more seamless. No, you don't need a PC for streaming. That's the mistake a lot of people make. They build these monster PCs and they try to get the PCs to do all the work. And they can, but you got to build them up to do that. My PC doesn't do a lot of work, actually. The Mac doesn't do a lot of work as far as the video switching. All the streaming and stuff goes through a hardware switcher. So it basically passes through the computer as a 4K live stream. The computer doesn't have to do any encoding, anything like that. It doesn't have to do any compression. All that's done in the Blackmagic Studio switcher. So it wouldn't matter Mac or PC. PC builds are a pain to do for streaming. They're extremely expensive. They're unreliable. And you have to do a lot of software with it. As far as what I've seen, and you can do it. They work great. Just this system's a lot better. Because right now, if my PC shuts off, my Mac shuts off in the middle of this feed, the Facebook feed doesn't go away. The Facebook feed, I mean, not the Facebook, the YouTube feed doesn't go away because it's hardwired through the cameras into the Mac, into the switcher, and then that goes out to the network and to YouTube Direct. So, Yeah, so basically it relieves a lot of that stress. Just my computer was just old, and it was just, you know, the GPUs. It was just the GPUs were just spinning so high the batteries were only 80% because they were 5 years old to have use. So it happens. Enough of the tech stuff. Let's talk about what we are going to paint tonight. We are going to do this guy right here. And what this sketch was, I'm going to switch over here. Hide. Whoop, hide and hide. This was one of the many sketches I did that I worked up during the process of that GT500 hood that I did. So when I was trying to think up what to do today, because I've been working with the computer, rebuilding everything in Photoshop and all my files and terabytes of moving data information, I decided I would come up with this. So this is what we're doing. And I'm going to do it mostly freehand. I put up a poll earlier. London Pen, what's going on? Put up a poll earlier on what I was going to do for color. I still can't get my Facebook app here to show the feed for some stupid reason. If anyone's got Facebook, is the feed running on Facebook too or no? Because I don't see it on my iPad app here. That it's, oh, there it goes. Yeah, it's running. Okay. I don't know, these apps are freaking slow. There we go. Cool. Awesome. So let me show you where you're going. So we got that. This is the image we're doing. I got a black panel. So we're going to switch over to that. We'll drop this down. And then we'll put that reference image away here. Alright, so this is the image we got. And I just sized it up to a 12 by 18 inch panel. I got my panel prepped. And I got the image already transferred. Let me bring up my top down. Maybe you can see, I think I gotta up the exposure on this camera. Maybe, there you go. So you can see everything. It's hard to see. And I'll try to go from the 3/4 and maybe you can see it there too. Now, again, it's hard to see on the black. But I can see it, so, well, let me switch back to that. So what I did to get this, there you go. If I go at that angle, you can see it much better. So I did my usual. I took my pencil sketch, or my drawing here, and then I sized it up to the panel. I just did an Illustrator or Photoshop just to the size of the panel, printed it out. And then I did the old paper, the old soft pencil trick that I've shown many a times. Scraped it along the back. I used a 6B pencil and then did a pen transfer and just basically like carbon paper, just drew it in. If I could find the pen, I would show you, but it just rolled off. You know, basically that was there, just like carbon paper. We've all done it. I've done it 50 times in the videos, so hopefully that's good. And then transfer the image, so it's basically there for basically all the freehand that I'm going to do. I'm going to use, I'll probably paper cut this up a little bit and use the stencils just as a stencil just to kind of frame things out and crisp things up. And then we brought out some shields. Here, the old, one of Mike LaValle's sets of his True Fire sets. I still love the Matchmaker, which is an old set by Michael Casey, old illustrator. These have been out for a while. And then the old big shield and a little texture. So we'll use all these in the piece and go from there. Hey Cole, what's going on, man? Who else we got? I was doing so much when it came on, I didn't even check in with all my down and dirty tricksters here. So let's see what we got. Let's give a big shout out to all the members who support the channel. We got more gold skulls, man. Cody, Mike Gillette, Joseph Big Bear, Mike, I think you are all new this month. I think Donna and Simon were last week or 2 weeks ago, hit the year mark. So thank you very much for the continuous support. And all the red skulls, I think all but the last 2 on here, 3, are red skulls. So you guys have been supporting the channel a long time. I really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to use those discount codes on McKayFineArt.com. And if you haven't, the gear set's still up there. That's been up there since was 2 weeks ago with Killing Time. So those are both up. And a few of you guys have definitely grabbed that. I think next week I might do a quick feed with a couple things. Or I might just do a quick how to paint one of the gears. Just a little solo video. So I think I'm going to try to get that next week as well. And go from there. And then, of course, all the brands we like to use around here. Fisheye Filter, Iwata, Cretex, Maple, FBS, Coast, Visionaire. You guys know I'm internet famous now. Brian Moore. You are internet famous. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Let's see if I can do that. Well, no. No. I was just trying something. Alright. Super Source. I went back to that. Alright. So, this is the colors. Let's talk about colors. This is what we got for colors. Oh, I see what's up. My switchers. Alright. There's something going on with my switcher, but that's fine. I will fix it. It's not going to matter for this. What's happening, James? So we have, these are all Wicked Opaque colors, all here. So we have Wicked Opaque Red, Wicked Opaque Orange, the Hansa Yellow, we have White, and then I did Candy 2 Red, Candy 2 Orange, Tequila Yellow, and then I also mixed up green and purple. Let me grab those. I'm going to probably throw those in a little bit as accent colors here and there, but I'm going to keep those kind of out of the way so I don't spill them. But I did... The opaque, was it lime green or something like that? Yeah, so this is going to be... I'm going to probably do the eyes in green so they have a glow. And then purple around the edge of the fire. So, this is a good video to watch after the... Hold on. Oh, my wheels are stuck. There we go. Sorry about that. This is a great video to watch after the real fire do's and don'ts video, because I cover a lot of that. Oh yeah, always got them. They're here as well. There, we're going to slide that over. A little product placement. There we go. Move that camera. Zoom back out just a hair. And I'm going to focus this up here. And make sure. I got manual. I put everything on manual focus now, so it should come out better. Random question, but I tried to paint lost souls in flames. They look weird. Any advice on how to get them to look better? Yes, I do. It's a big question. I have drawn an image that I was planning on doing of one of the Warhammer Age of Sigmar characters. I think, what are they called? They're basically like a spirit. I forget what they're called. I did a sketch up of those guys. It's kind of along those lines. You know, the thing about making things in flames is you got to balance them out. I'll see if I can kind of talk it through here as I'm going. It's keeping things soft and then just hitting the right highlights and the right things is what you got to do. I'll see if I can kind of figure that out. Alright, so that's the sketch we're doing. This is the cutout I did. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire the background up first. Just to get a red, like, glow. Because I want that kind of backlighting is what I'm going for. And then the rest will kind of follow in the middle. So I really want to use the black surface a lot. Get the background bright so it's almost backlit. And then get that glow off the scales is what I'm really going for here. So Actually, yeah, the pocket graphics come in here. I'm going to use them a lot here for these scales, and I'll show you some good tricks with it. Alright, so I'm going to start with the Wicked Opaque Red. If I was working House of Color, I'd be starting with I'd probably use Euro Red. Yeah, I'd probably use Euro Red or Blue Blood Red, or just the graphic red. So, the nice thing about this, I'm going to switch to a top-down, so it's easier, and I'll put the reference image off to the side for now. You don't need it for right now. I'll shut that off. So the red actually covers really well, and oops, you don't want a tape. You don't want the tape in the middle of the design. So the key to fire, we all talked about Mike's rule and Mike's suggestions, and it works. It's loose to tight, dark to light. And what that means is you start with the darker tones, meaning the darker, deeper reds, and then you work into the oranges, and then you work into the yellows. That's what he means by dark to light. And loose to tight, which means the fire, instead of going in and doing like the details like this, like the fire shapes, you don't do those yet. You can mimic them, so I'll mimic the same shape, but you keep it loose. Like that. Really loose. It doesn't even have to be that structured. You can literally just kind of do this and start to find the shape of the fire. But the biggest mistake everyone makes at this stage is they try to make it look fire right out of the gate. And that's not what you want to do. You just want to set up structure. You remember this one rule. When you're doing a fire lick, the red, like this was just a simple flame. The red area is the outermost area, okay? So that's the darkest. And then and I'm going to do this one color, sorry. Then all the orange needs to stay within the red. So this is where all the orange has to go. And then all the yellow kind of stays in here. And that's how you flame lick everything to glow. So out here is really loose, so the orange gets a little tighter than the yellow gets tighter. In the basics. And if you look at flames, they kind of do that. And I think a lot of people make the mistake, I mean, it looks cool, is using too much red. If you look at fire, there's not a lot of red in fire. We put a lot more than the reality is. So the red can just be basically an ambient glow. That's really all you're doing. But what I'm doing here is I'm just getting that background. You can sketch at this point, like, just don't be too worried about it, but you can kind of try some things out, like here. I can say I want this fire to go that way and this way. But, you know, you're not committed to it. Not using stencils. Because there's no need to use them at this point. Just you're keeping that. You're keeping that red. And like I said, this is the Createx Wicked Opaque Red. The orange doesn't cover as well as the red over black, and the yellow doesn't do a great job over it. It's kind of greeny over black, which all yellow does. The only yellow that works really good over black is the House of Color Chrome Yellow. Still really kills it over black. It just has a really high saturation and pigment load that I haven't found any other brand to really hit it. So if you're working in solvent, you can do that, which is what I did on that hood. So, and now we pull this off. And now you have that background. See how vibrant that is? And that sets up the rest. Okay, and what I'm going to do with this guy, you know, and I know there's already going to be a comment, well, this is not freehand, you use a stencil. This is, this is part of airbrushing. I want that crisp edge to loosen up. Later, it'll just, it works way better. So now I'm going to do, just to establish the kind of shape, of the crown of, I think it's called the crown of the snake, the cobra. I'm just gonna hit this now. So I get a little crispy edge. Nope, this is not candy at all. Candy over black would not show up. It would just go back to black. This is wicked opaque red. This is what this color is. So I'm gonna put this here, put this here. I'm gonna grab these really heavy magnets. And I'm just going to kind of hit that. Yep, so this is opaque red. That's what we got here. And now I'm going to basically roll him out a little bit. And I gotta find, I don't know if I left it accessible. A little trick on doing snake scale. Oh, we have a bid starting. Gary, thank you. Gary's so patient. He's got so many panels waiting here because I've been slacking. Gary, 175. Of course you would, Gary. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to look for something. Talk amongst yourselves. I made a video on this product on how to do quick snake scales. And I don't know if I have it readily available. I don't think I do. So a while back, some of you might remember, I made basically a tool for doing snake scale by using the quilting loop. I'm not here. Well, I guess we're not doing snake scales that way tonight. I will save that either for the next part of this video if it goes 2 parts, or another time. Hard hitters. I'm tired. Makes me wish I had one. What do you recommend for the Alumacore panels? These I just get from my local sign shop. This is, I believe, it's Alumacore. This is by Illuminate. Aluminum composite material. Polymetal works. They all work really good. Oh, you never know. Alright, so now at this point is where I start doing a lot of freehand. And so I'm thinking, now I could work out here more and start bringing the orange in and frame it, but I'm not going to bother. I'm going to work all in this red. But what I'm going to do here, which I know sounds a little counterintuitive, I'm going to ooh, excuse me. I'm going to actually add white, this opaque white to my red, so it's going to get a little pinky. And I'm mainly doing it because I want it to come to contrast faster so you guys can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to be using a lot of red candy, so it's going to be fine. So I'm going to make like a pink tone. You could use orange. Mike Manning. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Well, actually, did I hear that right? Here we go, yep. Let me know if you get double... Oh, yep, double sound. Now. No. Yep. Nope. Okay, still got to work on that. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Much appreciated. Alright, so what I did here is I just made up... Basically, took the color and just made it a little bit pinker. So you can see here, if I was to go over this, you would see it in place of the orange. Which, this is another way to do the fire if you want it more red. And you're not going to be using oranges. You can work in pink and reds, and then the candy, and like you could go and just do that with it. But I don't want to confuse you too much. But since I have it, you know, I can give it a little glow like that. And you can do this with orange if you want to. But I'm going to do it with pink, just so this shows up here. Alright, so we're kind of lit, the fire's all around. I'm not going to get too technical to make sure everything's lit from one side. I'm going to basically assume that the fire's coming up and over and around them. So we're going to be doing a lot of top-down lighting. So the scales, basically I'm going to paint the highlights of the scales first. And I'm not going to try to do too much line work, except for like basically reflection lines. Hey Bob, what's happening? Let's see if I can get this flowing the way I want it. It's always a fine line between getting the detail and coverage flowing with a opaque color. Even solvent. Solvent I can get a little bit faster because the solvent reacts a little bit quicker, but all in all it's the same. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. That's why. I wanted to use my clips instead of the micron, but there we go, we're good. Alright, so what I'm going to do is basically, I'm going to draw it out, and I'm painting the highlights of the scales. And that's going to give me the ability to basically carve it later. Okay? Can't say... So here's where the nostril is, and the scales really form a lot of the detail. So basically you're painting the light reflections, and you're keeping it kind of big and soft, and then you're going to work the details in. I can do some line work and then realize that this is the top side and just paint that highlight. But remember, the brighter highlight's going to go in the middle of it, so then you can kind of wash over the whole thing. And just keep it really soft. like I said, you're really keeping it loose here because when you go to candies or we use transparents over the top of this to tone it out, then we're going to start carving the details. I want to do the eyes, but I'm going to do the eyes because I'm going to do... Eventually I'm going to do the eyes in green, but I want to establish the location first. The green I'm going to bring in later, but I don't want to keep... If you put red candies or orange candies over the green, you're going to get crap. So, I want to do these eyes bright. I'm going to do these eyes bright white. First. Use an opaque white just so they're located. Yes, I did spit some paint. I'm not going to panic. And basically, I'm going to use this like as an example. See how if I use the white now inside that red, I already start to get that nice reflection. A little sneak peek for later. But I'm going to be doing this with mostly yellows or oranges, but you can do it with white as well, and you already start to get that tone. So I think the video is looking decent. I think the quality should be good. Let's pop out for an angle shot and kind of see what's happening. At least the eyes, now the eyes kind of give you a little taste. So I hope everyone's had a decent start to their new year. The killing time feed went great. I got to get that cleared. Now, if you want to do line work, keep it light, and if you want to trace out in kind of your sketch, and if you're using like a Stabilo pencil or something, you want to cover those. I kind of got away from using the white Stabilos on black. Your Iwata can do that. You just got to practice and make it do that. You gotta make it your bit, man. You gotta tell it what to do. It will do it. So if you want to like map out your work like this, you can. It's not a wrong way to do it. I go through times where I like to line work and times when I don't. But if you want to do a loose map, especially if you're having trouble seeing stuff, you can kind of do this now and just do lines. But just keep them really subtle. Like that. You know, and you kind of sketch out all your stuff like this. And if you're going to do it really black, like up here, I'm not going to do too much up here. It's just going to be like the hint of the reflections of scales. I'm going to do more around the eyes. And really just establish the shapes of everything. And just keeping it soft. Notice I'm getting closer and further away. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the scale right here. So watch how far I am. I'm going to pull the trigger probably about half, 3/4. You know, no, not 3/4. Like a quarter to a half, maybe a third of the way back to its maximum. And I'm going to start from far away, right? And see how I'm just getting that? And then I'm going to get closer. I'm going to pull back less and just hit the top of it. Watch her do it again. Soft. Now come in hard. Soft. Hard. Harder. And you basically, the easiest way to do these predominant scales is you just working them in softly. Hey to yourself. And around here, what I'm going to do, let's top down switch. Like so, watch it right here. If you want, you could do it freehand, or if I want to do like little scales, I can go into here like this, find an area, because I want to do little things around the eyes. You can just hit a little bit of that. Do it again over here. I'll do a different size one. And it just adds a little bit of texture. Keep it soft and then come in harder and hit that harder reflection. If you struggle freehand on that hard, if you would do a portrait of Trump, you would have a lot more views. Yeah, and I would have to, I stay away from politics for the reason that I'll get views and then I'll lose views and then there'll be big discussions and not the game I want to play. So, if you don't have that freehand, so if you want to pay to have one done as a commission, to be happy to do it. But I paint what I want when I want on this. There's plenty of guys already doing that. Yep, there's the pocket graphics. Actually, I think one of the best guys doing portraits, Trump, Elon, he's done almost every one. He's done some really great ones. Is I think it's Marshall Sparks or something like that. His work's awesome. He's got a whole collector series and prints and everything else. About the stupid bills came, yeah. And big long portraits on YouTube doesn't have the engagement. It's just not really my thing that I want to deal with. So one thing I learned from doing a lot of motorcycle and custom car shows with people in public is short attention spans. So look up. I don't think he's on. He's not going to do it on YouTube. If you go over to Instagram, I think he was big on Instagram for a while. It's Marshall something. Marshall Sparks of Marshall something. Huge portraits. Like, and he has a whole collector series of prints. Some are gold leaf accented. He did a really bitchin' Joe Rogan. He did what's his name? Who passed away? The radio DJ, not radio DJ. Political commentary. I forget off the top of my head. But he's done a lot of really great ones. Marshall something. You can find him on Instagram. I know that. You can find him on probably TikTok. And he may have a YouTube channel, but he doesn't paint them live as instructional. Alright, so now I basically got the top established. And Donna, what's happening? Thank you for popping in. Welcome to the show. Oh, I have another thought for next week, too, for next Thursday. So if some of you know that I've recently started doing a lot of tabletop miniature painting and things of that sort. Both instructional videos. I've done a couple with Iwata. And I'm going to be launching a new channel that's just about ready to rock and roll. But I'm going to be teaching for the first time at Adepticon, which is really cool. So I'm going to be teaching at Adepticon in Milwaukee the end of March, which is going to be awesome. It's my first time going to Adepticon, first time teaching at Adepticon, and this whole industry itself. So I'm really looking forward to push myself to something new and being around a lot of other people doing it. So what I'm thinking of doing is doing a servo skull or a version of the Adepticon logo of my own version next week. And kind of paint that, and we'll offer that up, maybe make prints of it. And then we'll probably use that to launch the new Tabletop Airbrush channel, which is up, but it's not really, there's nothing there yet, but that's coming. So the 3 classes we set up, which is 2 intro classes, and then a master class with me and Joe, his last name off the top of my head's not flowing through my speech. Otherber? Anyway, we are going to be teaching the master class there, and the 2 intro classes sold out in less than 45 minutes, and the master class sold out in a day and a half, so really stoked to be doing that. So keep an eye out for more on that. I'm going to be talking about that a lot more in the near future. Alright, so this, just so you can see what I'm doing, you can now go in if you want. I could go in with that orange, because now this orange really shows up over this well. So I can start kind of picking away a little bit and shading some of that. If I go the yellow, it'd be pretty bright right now, but I could. But I'm just kind of putting a little bit in, establishing. And I could also, like we did here, I could put that orangey glow around that outside. And this is where you can start getting a little bit more. You could use a stencil a little bit and kind of get a little hard edge. I'll switch the top down so you can see a little bit better. See how that orange now pops off the red really nice? You don't want to go too strong here, but you can kind of start to utilize that red under and establish the fire itself. You know what I mean? Just to get a little bit of flow. See this shape right here? We can accentuate that out a little bit. Kind of get that to roll through. And see how it's just a little tighter than the first stage. So there's that lighter color. Now it's a little tighter, but not super. You know, it's not overdone. Still keeping it loose, but you can start establishing those tones now. So I did a portrait one right before SEMA with the girl. And that was right before SEMA. Besides, I don't do a lot of full portraits on here. I don't do a lot of full portraits, period. I do some very, very sparingly. Portraits, I really like to take my time, be less distracted. Like I said, I did that one a couple weeks ago. Alright, let's get the bottom here. So before, I'm going to get the tongue down here. So I'm going to use a loose shield and get that tongue kind of worked in. Just to get the edge. I can freehand it down. But if I want to really kind of get it crisp on one side, see that? And then I can freehand it up. And then go from there. Yeah, it was right before SEMA where I did the girl with the finger over her mouth, basically going shh. It's titled shh. And it's a portrait. Then we turned the portrait and added some skull makeup and things like that to it. Just portrait of a straight person, like, just to do a portrait of someone is really boring to me. Unless it's a commission, I typically won't do them. And even the commissions I often say no to. Unless it's a really good picture. I don't mind doing portraits of people who are alive. Portrait of, like, someone's kid who passed away. Can't stand doing those. Because it's heart-wrenching to do them, and I've done them for people before. But half the time the photos are really bad quality, or you can't see the detail. It's really hard to basically make the person look good, or look like the person. So I tend not to do them. Okay, so now we got the abdomen, which I'm just going to loosely put them in and do the side. Oh, and what I want to do, I'm going to have the snake right here basically come out of the frame. So I'm just going to cut that out. Like that. And here, do the same thing up here, I think. Now, oh, you know what I know what I want to do. Basically, up here, I'm going to have it look like this part rolls under, and then this comes over the edge. Maybe. No, that's not right. Screw it. I'm just going to take that all off like this. And I don't like that. So we're just going to take this. We'll just do a quick kind of erase, rub out, and now we'll fix it. It's a nice thing about opaque colors. You can get that. Man, I wish I had that. Cool. Now here we go here. Get that underbelly. That underbelly comes here. Now it's just starting to shape. Now in here, what's up, Mr. Barker? In here, there's just going to be a little hint of the underside of the hood, which are basically like U shapes, like the traditional kind of scales you see. We'll just hit them. Like I said, this is, you know, for those who mentioned it, this is pretty much the way I did the one on the underside of the Shelby GT500, which that car, man, wait till you guys see that car done. That car is just absolutely bananas. It's just insane how awesome that car is in person when you see it. Sorry, just be here for a second. I really want to find that thing I made. It's one of those things I know it's like gonna jump out in front of me. Like, oh, you've been here the whole time. Oh, I tried. Sorry guys, I'm going to check one more place, then I'm going to give up. Well. Frustrating. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Alright, what'd I miss? I am doing an Apollo bust sketch right now, really intricate. 3 months because the canvas board. Oh yeah. Apollo bust sounds cool. That'd be fun to do, actually. I am working on my empathy. How did I do? You're doing great, Mike. Doing great. Cheers. All right. Okay, so we're good. So what I'm going to do for scales, I am going to use some Gerald Mendez. I'm going to just use these guys. I'm going to use the bigger ones right here. Just like, it's just going to catch some edging of scales. So I'm going to keep that stuff mostly dark anyway. Now, let's get that orange. We'll tone this a little bit. We'll get a little bit more orange in here. So just get that tone in there. I'm trying to think where I would get a little bit more fire. Because eventually I'll bring the fire up. I'll bring a little fire around them. And I don't want to go to the candy yet. When I'm in the water-based side, I tend to do the candy very, very last. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use I have a paint spill on aisle here that spilt a while ago. My purple spilt all over my X-Acto Blade box. That's amazing. Guys, I need 2 minutes. Sorry about that. I didn't want to be yelling and screaming over YouTube. Better change the new battery. No, because I was about to throw stuff across the room because I spilt a thing of purple. I shut the mics off. So what I'm doing now is I'm getting a transparent red. You can use the Wicked Transparent Wicked Red, or you could use Illustration Scarlet. Both work tremendous for what I'm about to do. And basically I'm going to treat these like a candy without using a candy, because I don't want to go that deep yet with the candy. Okay, I want to tone this without going too much candy yet. Yeah. The yelling, the screaming. I'm sure my wife and daughter heard it 2 floors below me. And they've known me long enough, they just stay away at that point. It's just easier for everyone. I'm going to put this back in the... I'm going to put this transparent red in the Eclipse. Just taking that white I had out of this brush really quick. What's your general plan? It really depends. Like, so this one I knew was going to be mostly freehand, 98% freehand. So it was just what I'm doing: pencil sketch. Figure out if we're going to be doing heavy masking, light masking, freehand, and then colors. And I just kind of attack it. And kind of go from there. And just kind of let it happen. That's a lot of it. I'm not super planning. Unless it's like a big job, it's got a lot of stuff happening, I'll plan a little more. You know, yeah, it's live, anything can happen. Right. So, good point. So, this is kind of the orangey stage. Now I'm going to take this red and wash. So I'm going to do a slight wash over it. And because this isn't candy, I'm not going to like heavy wash it. So I'm going to do medium wet, but look out here. See what that's doing? In the darker areas, I'm getting that more red glow to everything. And the orange is going to punch up to more of a red. So see how I get the 2 different tones now? That orange goes to a red. If, like I've always used candy, it would do the same thing, but I don't, like I said, I don't want to go to the candy stage yet. But I want to take out that orange that's here. By tinting it red. So that way the next round of orange really stands off it. And this is a great technique for you guys who don't have candy, aren't familiar with candies. Just switch from opaques and transparents back and forth. Especially when you're learning real fire. This can work in your benefit. It's just a slight wash. I'm going to switch to a different angle and you'll see how it looks different from that side. The eyes, I'm just going to go red for now. We'll bring them in later. No, you don't put white in the flame. You don't put white in the flame ever. Ever, 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 ever. There's no white in fire. At the very end, you will go, if you want like a bright yellow pop in the centers, you can do like a cream color white and then do a slight tint of yellow candy on top of it. Never pure white. Like, two things you'll never really see me use is pure white or pure black. No, this is pretty thin. I didn't go... Yeah, this was the illustration, so it's pretty thin to begin with. And let me see if I can get up to the top here. It's actually, I think it sounds louder than it is. But this is pretty thin. You can go thinner, but if you go too thin, now it's going to be too transparent. I'm not going to get what I want it to. This times 4. So if I go too thin, you probably hear the pitch change a little bit. So this is like more reduced than paint, which is fine. But if you go too wet, now you're going to get modeling. And this is good if you want to mess around with like a dark color, which my purple dyed because it spilled everywhere. But if you wanted to carve some detail at this point, here's a color that you could do. If you want to carve a little detail, which you don't really need, I don't do this till the end. What am I at? I'm around 35 to, between 35 and 40. When I'm doing this, when I go in for a lot of like deep detail, with a gravity feed gun, I'll go to 25 to 30 range. I'm not a big worry about the PSI guy. Yeah, 20% is a good range. Depends on the brush you're using. So this color is great, the Bordeaux. I love this color. This was it Marcus? I think Marcus came up with this one. The Freehand Airbrush Bordeaux. This is when you're doing reds and you want to carve detail without like oversaturating blacks. In kind of like a mid-tone. This color is outstanding. Because you can get in here. Let me swap down here, we'll zoom in. So if I want to start carving a little bit ahead of time, without using black, see how nice that looks? And then I can add black to it and make it even darker. Never. The only time I use black for shadows is if I'm painting t-shirts at a fair. Actually, I'm really digging. Someone asked me my plan. What is my plan? I wasn't planning on using this color at the beginning, but now that I see it, I really dig it. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch up my initial plan. I'm going to take that orange I had, which is here. I'm going to add some yellow to it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to punch up some highlights and then add that red. By the sound of what? You can't tell PSI from sound. And over a microphone, you're hearing it very different. A lot of times, I'm running, close to 40. T-shirt days, I'm running at 60 to 80. No, I haven't sprayed candy red at all. I've used transparent red, which is not a candy, so it's a transparent red instead of a candy red, which is a dye-based. I'll do the candy at the end, so I can punch, because when candies go down, everything you did comes through them, and it doesn't have its own coverage. And I'm really trying to keep tone right now and not over candy things. So, if you see what this does now I can get that really bright. Alright, so I'm kind of deciding, do I want to do more orange everywhere, like this, and then carve? I think I do. Yeah, I do. It depends. Sometimes it plans, sometimes a good plan starts out one way, and knowing where to change is the real key. You kind of adapt. So yeah, now I'm starting to get that depth. So I'm hitting those highlights. So this is just how the fire works. I'm keeping the orange highlights within the red. And I'm going to see if I can get a better focus on this, because I can't tell how it looks for you guys. I'm going to look on my end and see if it looks grainy or not. You guys tell me. I'm going to zoom in. Try to get that camera zoomed in really good. And then it's just, let's see if I can get, nope, that washes it out. Just try different lights. Yeah, every project changes and tweaks. And you gotta be ready to pivot to make it work. So I'm really just doing it here. Let that light catch. Yeah, so now I'm starting to get that nice, like the fire's lighting everything. So I'm going to hit this, then I'm going to go to that Bordeaux color and carve. Yeah, so what I typically do what I typically do is I do opaque. If I'm doing solvent, I usually do opaque and then candies. When I'm doing water-based, I don't like the candies too soon in water-based because they're so strong. And you gotta wait a little bit before the next rounds. If you try to go white, you'll get a little bit of bleed for a little bit till everything kind of cures up. So what I really like to do is I go opaque red, and then I'll use a transparent, and then I'll go opaque yellow and orange, and maybe an orange semi-transparent. I'll kind of work in that. And then the candies I start to bring in when I really want to get that color glow and make it rich. You have to be careful with candies because they can bleed. Yeah, they can bleed to other colors. They can react. Water-based does it a little bit more because the resins in water-based can only hold so much dye. So if you got a really hot solvent reducer, it can reactivate and bleed through. Solvent can do it too, but water-based does a little bit more. So I try to reserve the candies a little bit more towards the end, especially when doing live, because with the candies you got to wait a little bit more. Yeah, when you're, it's not a lot more, but it's enough where it slows down my live feed. So yeah, so now I'm just toning him out. What I want to do actually, and this is the opposite of my plan. I put the fire glow behind him, but I want to get the head up here to be bright and kind of pop. Let's see if that works. It's gonna need some refinement. So I'll carve that out because I don't love it. Get the belly kind of popping. No, I don't use the bleed check. Well, the other thing you gotta remember, during a live feed, I don't have time to clear and then wait either. So there's things I can do in a live feed, there's things I can do in a recorded. So if I was recording this, I'd probably candy, let it cure a little bit, maybe put a top coat and then do another round. That's the difference between pre-recorded, edited, and then hanging yourself out and doing it live. The bleed check sealer I don't like that much. I've never been a fan of it. It really comes down to just use less reducer. Okay, so that's cool. I think I'm decent there. I wouldn't even say they're the king of the budget brushes. I think if you want a quality budget brush that's not like a name brand, I think the No Name or the Krioses are probably your way to go. The Jurali or whatever it's called, they have such a manufacturing problem from what everyone has stated that they are very hit or miss as far as their quality. And so guys who are testing them have done very thorough, and I do not recommend them at all. I pretty much always stick directly with Iwata. I used to use Rich Pen back in the day as an alternate to my Iwatas. I originally started with Pachets, then went to then went to Iwatas, and then I was approached to switch up my Iwatas and switch over to Rich Pen, which they were great, but there was. This is the kind of constant issue with most of these knockoff brands, or clone brands, or copies, or whatever you want to say, because they're all based around the Iwata Olympus model of brushes. Is they tend to have parts problems down the road because they don't have the distribution. And you start to run into problems where there's only 2 places that sell them, realistically. So when they don't have parts, nobody has parts. Whereas Iwata and some of the other major brands, they have the resources to have parts available everywhere. They have tech support. They have people you can talk to. Those companies don't. So I tend not to recommend those. The problem with the theory on budget is a lot of beginners buy them because they're cheaper and the cost of entry is easier, and I get that. But then when you have problems, there's no one to really help. Whereas, and the other thing I think a lot of people are doing is, I get the Eclipse all day long over and use it, because most of what I'm using here is an Eclipse. I would use that all day long over, you know, a .35 Eclipse over a knockoff brand at a .20, .23, .18, trying to say it's as small as a micron, and it doesn't work anywhere near it. I find you'll get a better performance out of the .35 quality Eclipse than you will out of the smaller nozzle of even the Creo, stuff like that. But if I was going to recommend a non-Iwata, I'd probably go with the Creos or the No Name, which they're the same thing. But I've always kind of got to the point, and I've used every other brand out there. The adage, cry once. You eventually got to buy either the Iwata or a top-level brand anyway once you get good, or once you practice enough. Why not just start with it and never worry about it, never look back. But if that's what you want, they're not bad. I just don't really recommend them. Not my thing. See, the problem with Harbor Freight, yeah, Black Widows, you're not going to get replacement parts. Good is a relative term. They work every knockoff brush, every Harbor Freight brush, and every iteration, because last season they were based off Badger clones, and now they're trying to be kind of like the Talons, you know, the Pachets, or even kind of close to a micron, but they're never going to be that, even if they try to have the same nozzle size. And they're just not going to be consistent. And next season, they're going to change the brush type, and you're not going to get parts. I literally have Iwata Eclipses from the 90s I still use to this day. That's what I mean. Buy it once and work about painting. I don't want to keep trying to figure out why the brush doesn't do this, or why it doesn't work right, or I got to talk to this. Buy the quality first and be done with it. You never have to worry. It's like spray guns. The only time we used to buy Harbor Freight spray guns, or Husky ones from what was it? Husky was Home Depot or Lowe's. We'd use them in the stereo shop I worked out of for spray glue, because as soon as they dried up, you just threw the gun out. That's about what they're good for. Yeah, see how this is really coming along good now. Because I can start carving that detail. Control comes with practice. And when you practice with something that's meh, that control is going to take longer to be consistent and get good at. When you start learning control with a quality product, quality brush, it's consistent, you're going to get that control much faster and easier. In my opinion and my experience of instructing people and teaching and trying brushes, people get more success out of their practice time when they're not fighting the tool they bought. Look, I can take the Black Widow brush, I can take the plastic Hawk single action from a dollar store and make it work and make it do lines, because I have the control. But if I started with that, I would have probably thrown it out and never got good enough to even get to that point. But if it works for you, it works for you. Just consistency across the board. As a professional, to someone trying to learn, I'm not going to recommend trying that route. I think you get a lot more. And the Black Widows aren't exactly cheap. You can buy Niwani clips or even the Revolution or Neo for around the same money, and they're way better quality build. And I've tried them. I grab one and just see what. And I can never even remember the name. The Jollery or whatever. They approached me a couple of weeks ago if I would try using them and try selling them and endorse them, and I told them I'd be happy to give them an honest review. If they really want me to do one online, they can send me one. And they did not send me one. You can send it on my socials. But like I tell the airbrush company, if people want to send me stuff to critique, I will critique it. And I don't really pull punches. I will give an honest critique. And if you don't want that, don't send it. I'm not saying I'm going to give you a bad, but I will give an honest critique in where improvements need to be made, where it's good, where it's not. And if you're good with that, send it. If you have a hard time with that, don't send it for a reason. I'm never going to tear someone apart just to tear them apart. And I'm not going to tear you apart into something, you know. I recognize people's level, but if you want to know how to get better, I'll be happy to break it down. And the reason I say that, because when I sent work to a couple professionals in my younger days, I was told the same thing, and I really valued the input I got, and it made me a much better painter. But some of the comments did hurt a little bit. I think one of the painters I said to do, and I won't say his name, let's see here. There you go. The Harbor Freight compressors are pretty good. Those, what are they called? The, look, I'll say when something's good, and I'll say when it's crap. So the Harbor Freight, I think the Fortresses is the one they're called. Those are based off of the California Air Tool style of compressor. Tell the truth, I just put up the, there's all my Instagram. You could write that down and go from there. I can't type in info while I'm painting. Yeah, those quiet compressors are good. They work, like I said, they're exactly the same as the California Air Tools ones. I'm sure they're made either from the same place or they're the same type of build. A lot of times all these products are made in similar places or from the same schematics. Some just use better parts, some just use better quality control. Like that's the problem with those airbrushes is 1 out of 10 are great. So if you got the 1 out of 10, you're good. But if you got the other 9, you're gonna struggle. So this isn't too bad for an hour and a half. I think we'll finish this up pretty well tonight. Or maybe this will just be a quick overtime. Or maybe this will be a Monday nighter. I kind of like those Monday night wrap-ups after Steve. As opposed to waiting a whole week to try to do this next week. So I don't finish this, or even if I get close, I'll probably do like a 1 hour wrap-up Monday. Or Tor had a great idea. Was doing, Girl BRC Flyer, what's happening? Tor had a great idea for all my UK followers is to do a hangover edition on like a Sunday morning. I'll see how I feel this Sunday. I'll make an announcement. Keep an eye on my social and all you members. I'll put a post on the community page and let you know. Because like I'm finding this. So like my airbrush is in focus, but is he in focus for you guys, or does it need to kind of tweak a little bit? Because I'm kind of, it's hard to tell whether how I'm seeing it. Ooh, see, that looked better. There we go. If you're gonna spend 80, 90 bucks on a black, yeah, that's the point. If you're gonna spend 70 to 80 bucks on a Black Widow, because it's got a really cool box and it's black and it's got 3 different nozzle sizes, which don't really do much because they're not set up well for changing. Spend the $100, $120 on an Iwata HPC clips and use it for 20 years and never have a problem. And the only thing you're going to have to change once in a while is when you split a tip and buy an $11 replacement needle. I mean, $11 fluid nozzle. That's about all you're going to ever have to do with it. So, pay once and be done. I will say we spend more time answering why doesn't my airbrush work right questions as opposed to teaching technique we could be spending time on helping. So we're spending so much time with my airbrush doesn't spray, why doesn't my paint spray, and most of the time it's the brush. Yeah, like I said, the Krios is great. The Krios are put in the same category as the Rich pens. They're built to a really good standard. And I think I'm pretty sure Spray Gunner's Krioses are the same, similar. Yeah, Iwatas are still built to a higher level, and they're still built to a higher quality control. But, you know, they get the job done, they work. It's kind of like when you're single, and if you find someone that looks kind of like Selma Hayek from Vampire one dancing, that's cool. You're not going to say no. But if you have the real thing available in front of you, yeah, much better. If you can't figure out how to send a pic on a social media, I can't help you, man. I'm not social media tech support. I'm not trying to be mean, but... And I'm not going to be looking at it now during a feed. Oh, infinities are cool. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever used an infinity. Oh, you know what I did get for a brush? And I got it from Sherry Chandler. She was selling them. I've never had one. I've never owned one. Because I always thought they were weird to have no bowl. This is an older, been around for a while. This is an HPA Plus. So basically it's a gravity feed without a full bowl. It's just this, which is, you know... Basically, it's the same as this, without the bowl. And it's just for doing little bits of paint at a time and going from there. A lot of illustrators love these. I move too fast to like do it on this, but I just wanted to have one. And like you can see the needle right in there. It's really cool, so I grabbed one. Are my comments? Brian, yes, they are. There's a lot of going by, and I'm not sure. I might have missed you. And if I did, I am sorry. So, Brian, so that comment came up, and the last comment I got from you, oh, I've been practicing and paying close attention to paint pressure. The Eclipse can handle everything I need to do. Yeah, I can do like 95% of everything with the Eclipse. There's a couple things I like to get down, like the microns or just the HPC pluses. I never recommend someone new starting to spend all the money with a micron. If you're gonna spend the money and you want like a medium, like good all around, and then something a little bit more, you know, finer detail, I tell people grab an Eclipse or two, and then grab like a HPC Plus model, which is the 2.3, which is the 2.5 or 3 nozzle, but they're a screw-in nozzle versus the drop set. I tell people to get, because you can get 3 of those brushes instead of 1 micron. Oh, I do like the Evolution, the new ones. I have not tried one yet. I was talking with a friend of mine over in the UK who distributes them and works with them, because the H&S's are distributed through Iwata. They're not made by Iwata, but they use it's the same. Iwata in the US distributes them. And I'm considering getting my hands on one and trying it because they look really cool, and I'm really interested in that titanium nozzle and what that is like. Yeah, I'd probably get you can get the Neo or the Revolution. They work pretty good. They're not a full crazy build standard, but I would probably recommend those over the I'd recommend those over the Black Widows. So for me, like, I like Harbor Freight. If I need something cheap I'm going to use once or twice, and that's all I'm ever going to use, I'll buy it from Harbor Freight. If I'm going to use something more than twice, I'm not buying a Harbor Freight. I'm going to use it once and probably throw it in the trash bin. I'll buy Harbor Freight. It's just like if I'm painting a winter beater, I'll go to Mako if I didn't paint it myself. If it's a car I'm making payments on, I'm not going to go to Mako. No, they don't. No, they don't actually own H&S. H&S is their own company. They don't own them. Iwata distributes them. So they use Iwata Media's global distribution and things like that to basically distribute them. They don't own H&S. They partner with them. From what I understand, that's how it's working now. It wasn't always that way. It's been recent in the past couple years. Just like, Rich Pens and I don't know if it's Krios or Rollins are manufactured in the same building that Iwata is manufactured. So a lot of people say, oh, they're made in the same place. They're made in the same building, but they're made to different manufacturing tolerances, different requirements on different lines and stuff like that. Yeah, airbrushes are, there's a difference between a Sears Craftsman, a Craftsman Pro Series, a Harbor Freight, Snap-on. Whereas I think Snap-on's overpriced, more gimmick than anything else for some things. Some things are not. Like the Snap-on airbrushes are probably the biggest ripoff, in my opinion, from my experience, because they're basically a Mastercraft that's been branded as Snap-on. So stuff like that, I wouldn't recommend that. You probably do better with the Harbor Freight. Oh, it's Honey's here. What's going on, kid? They acquired them, yes, but it's like there's different. They're manufactured differently. They have their own manufacturing line for H&S. There's their own people in charge. There's their own, their own plant, their own offices, their own people, their own sales, their own staff. But they work with Iwata, and they acquired the distribution rights, from what I gather. But they don't own them, meaning Iwata's not making them in Japan. That Iwata Japan is not manufacturing the H&S's. Honey, thank you so much. It's like Chrysler and Mercedes. The Chrysler and Mercedes are partnered and own each other, or however it's owned, through Daimler or Fiat now. Who knows? Blah, blah, blah. But Mercedes plants aren't making Chryslers, and Chrysler isn't making the Mercedes. They're distributed differently, they partner up on resources, and they go under a certain umbrella. It's kind of how it works. Thank you so much, honey. But let's get off airbrush brands and this and that and the other thing. It's not... all the time spent on that was time not spent actually trying to teach and learn and watch what I'm doing. It's like politics, debates. It just goes around and around in circles. In discussions where if you made your mind up, buy what you want. Alright, so that's cool. Yeah, Dave. So if you notice what I've been doing instead of talking about brushes is I'm not doing like hard line work. I'm toning things out. I'm carving those shadows, but I'm not using black. if I want to carve things deeper, and I will after a little bit, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the scary part next. I got my clips to paint minis, but learn actual airbrush art too. Awesome. And that's kind of what I'm going to be teaching at Adepticon, Zaz, in March. Is my first 2 classes, basic airbrush and how to do zenithal shading. Not always just how to use black and white, how to use the New Worlds to do different, color zenithals. And that's going to be the basic, which is the 2-hour, how to maintain the brush and get it working the best. And then our master class is going to go over things like non-metal metallics and different shading and skin tone and metallics versus non-metal metallics. We're doing all that. Those are in March. They're sold out though. But there's going to be awesome demos over at the Awada Medea booth. Off the top of my head, if Donna's still here, Donna, I forget her name, who's going to be at the booth. She's going to be doing daily demos. I'm going to probably go over there as well, maybe do a couple when I'm not teaching class. And Zassin, type in tabletop airbrush. That's going to be my channel I'm launching probably next week or the week after. I'm going to officially launch it. I'm going to get a few things ready. So a lot of the stuff's going to start here, but it'll migrate over there, and then I'll build that channel up. That'll be all for. That'll revolve around scale model and tabletop miniature painting. Yeah, so I want to put green in these eyes, so I'm just kind of keeping them as placeholders until the end. Courtney, yes, thank you. Figuratively speaking miniature. She's going to be doing, I think for what I understand, Dawn, right, she's going to be doing daily or a couple times a day. She's going to be demoing in the Awada Medea booth, so definitely check it out. Check her work out. I was going to say check her out, but that's not a kind of appropriate way to say it, but check her work out. Her work's amazing. And I'm really excited to meet a bunch of people. Yeah, man, I'm stoked to go to. I've never been. This will be my first Adepticon. No pressure. My first Adepticon to go and first time teaching at Adepticon, so it's going to be pretty crazy for me. All right. So this is what I call the more scary stage. What time is it? Oh, we got 8 minutes. Oof. I might not want to do this yet. Oh, Jesus Christ. Nothing like 50 X-Acto blades just hitting the floor and bouncing everywhere. Thank you, Don. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it going. I've been just holding back till I'm really... I want to do it right. And I want to get stuff ready, which is proving difficult to do. Just timing for me. But I'm going to make it happen. If I was trying to try this image... I've had air blockage in the body of the... Oh, wait a minute. I just read 2 different things. It would end up fuzzy. So, this is fuzzy right now. It's supposed to be fuzzy at this stage. That's why it's loose to tight. You keep it kind of loose right now, and then you tighten up the detail as you go. And that really helps. Alright, so we're getting towards the end. So this is kind of the mid-stage. At least they didn't stick to your foot. Well, hopefully they don't walk barefoot. And I am right now. I'm in my socks, so I have to be real careful. And I have a black and gray rug, and you know X-Acto blades are kind of black and gray. So anyway, so what I'm going to do, and this is kind of the midpoint, so if you are following along with this lesson, I am recording this to make this into a how-to, which is going to take a lot of voice editing, because all we did was talk about airbrush instead of painting. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to what I call the scary stage, which is almost using the white and yellow to punch the highlights. See how that like punches up? Which looks awesome. And this, I'm still keeping this somewhat soft because I'm going to be putting an orange transparent candy over this. And then we'll come back in again after that. But see how that works? How that just really... I can do little bits of... texture. I can make this eye yellow because it's going to be easier to go green from the yellow than it is from this. Yeah. So look, so see how this is really bright right here? Yeah, Monday night completion. So I'm going to hit these highlights, and then we'll call it from there. And then I'll do the next stage on Monday. But see how now this yellow is set up because it's over orange. If I was to do it over this, and I wish I had a piece of clear, let me... Yeah, I can magnet the blades up. That's a good point. So if you try to do this yellow over black, it's really kind of greeny brown looking. You see how kind of cruddy that looks? But since you're doing it over the red and orange, now you get that nice pop. And if you don't have all those colors, you could make it a more, like, you could add white to it. And make it a little bit even more opaque, because white's more opaque. And it'll punch even more. So yeah, keep it soft, keep it toned. And then we'll work that up from there. So, just to kind of recap where we were. Let me super source this out. Yeah. We started with the red, the opaque red. We did the background. Then we used that same red. I added just a little bit of white to it to make it a little bit more rosy kind of red. And started doing all the structure of the scale, so the eyes, and kind of framed it all out. Ron, thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Thank you for the super chat. Are you going to paint Charon? If so, I'm going to save money. I would like to paint Charon. I will put that in the books for this year. If you want, send me some image references, because that would be really, really cool. That you're thinking. But, or I might do that one I showed you, the version I did. I have another version that I didn't paint yet. So, yeah, that could happen. I can't get dimensions always. I'm always 2D. Well, Raph, and that's what I'm talking about here. So that's why you got to work soft, and then harden the details as you go, and be more strategic. It lets you be a little more free at the beginning, because you can do what I did. You start with a soft red, you start building the tone and the shading, and then you get a little orange in there. You pick out the highlights a little bit, do a wash, that kind of softens everything out, but it gives you that structure. Then you go with a mid-tone for detail, and I carved the detail out with that Bordeaux color. Okay, and that gave me like a midpoint of detail. It's still not dimensional yet, but it's there. The biggest thing about 3D is contrast. And if you go to my basics video, which, if you go to the basics video right there, which is like the ball, the square, the shape, we talk about light and dark shading. That's the real key. You start getting that push-pull, and that's how you get 3 dimensions. Like on this one. Red, and then the orange on top of the red, get it carved out. Do a wash of a transparent red after the opaques, and then start carving a mid-detail, which is where we're at now. Now I'm going to brighten these areas up again, and I'm going to do a wash of orange, probably orange and a little transparent yellow, to kind of set the final color tone. Then I'm going to go in with that dark detail color again and carve it with black. But not black. I'm going to add black to that Bordeaux. And really carve the darkest darks. And then after that I'll bring up the brightest brights and kind of see where that balance is. And then just do any minor adjustments there. That's what we're going to do Monday night. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do Monday night. I have to double check. Kaylee goes back to school, I think either Monday or Tuesday, so I'm not 100%. I got to remember. But I'll keep you posted. Stay on the social medias. Go to any of these social media links. You know, there's my YouTube one. There's Instagram, Facebook. Probably the best two places to email me or message me stuff is either Instagram or Facebook. I don't really do Twitch much. TikTok, I don't do crap on that really. So those are the best two places. Or you can go to my website, thinairgraphics.com, which is scott@thinairgraphics.com. You can email me there. Kelly Craig, I used to airbrush professionally, but the compressor was very noisy. Hashed my airbrush, the line started spraying. Home set up and show everyone what I can do. I can't wait. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I got the shop compressor out in the shop, and then here I have a studio compressor. And I just use the Iwata SmartJet Pro. They're really quiet. Another thing you guys can do if you don't want any compressor noise at all, I've done this for years, and I thought about bringing that back up into here at times, is a CO2 tank. You know, one of the, scuba tank size CO2 tanks. You get a double regulator on it, and you can run your airbrush at 25 to 40 psi. You can run that thing for probably 20 to 30 hours of painting time. And if you just paint little bursts, man, you'll get a week or two of painting. Like a week or two. Like 8 hours a day, you could probably paint for a while with it, depending, as long as you're not full on. If you're up at 60 psi, 70, like really pushing it, then you'll drain it fast in about 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours. But because you're constantly on it, like it's wide open the whole time when you do t-shirts. But if you're doing stuff like this or miniatures, you can do it with no noise whatsoever. I use them when I do trade shows. I use the CO2 tanks, and I'll do a 3-day weekend trade show and never change that tank. So we used to use the big, tall, like 180 pounders, the like a 4-foot tall tanks, and we'd get a month out of those at the mall painting shirts. So you can do that as well if you want no noise. So I'm glad everyone popped in. Sorry for the derailment on airbrush talk. We should do another segment, airbrush talk with Scott McKay. And then we can all go back and forth and bitch about different brushes and what we like and don't like about them. But this one's cool. I like the way the snake's coming out. It's looking really cool. Let's wrap it up Monday. Keep an eye on the socials, and I'll let you know when we're going to do it. And eventually I might do a Sunday hangover one. That could be a cool way to wrap up a Thursday painting, but I don't know if I want to give up my Sunday. I do like to sleep in Sunday morning, or get up and fire up the Xbox and play Fallout for a few hours, and do laundry. That's kind of the exciting life of a custom painter. So I want to thank you all for the support, and tune in next week, and we'll